So I'm probably going to catch a lot for this, but Duke sucks. Wait, Duke still sucks. But you know what? We going to talk about it on 94 Feet of UNC.
Gordy to Black. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan! Michael Jordan!
Swicker with the defense and the rebound. That's a good effort by Swicker.
Stackhouse freaking in on Park. Reverse dunk is good, and he gets fouled by Park. Oh my goodness, what a dunk by Stackhouse.
Interesting that he brought him back so quickly, but you know what? They're down eight. It's fair to say, you can't teach that. You can't teach that. You can't teach that high-rising ability. 3. And Green rips down the rebound in traffic. 4-on-1. Great job. What a terrific job in transition. I mean, you could.
The glass no good. Rebound followed by Hansbrough. Good! Carolina!
Inside 30 overall. Love, top of the key.
Alice about this over. Carolina. The Tar Heels have won the national championship.
And that is it. There is a new team in college basketball. North Carolina takes the title. Happen any final. North Carolina is the 2009 national champion. And this year, the confetti is going to fall to North Carolina. They're not going to be denied this time.
What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, December 11th. You are tuned in to the 94 Feet of UNC podcast. I am your host, Linzel Graham. I got a big special guest, of course, in the building with me today. I know everybody loves when I bring in the special guests, and the special guests stop in to chop it up with me a little bit. So, of course, I got a big one in here with me today. We're going to talk a little bit. But before we get into him introducing himself and everything, I appreciate all the love and support from everybody. Make sure you follow me. Hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell on my YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any of these big major interviews that I have and that I present and bring to you guys, whatever. So make sure you do all of that, and make sure you hit me up on my socials at 94 Feet of UNC on Twitter and on Instagram. Once again, like I said, I appreciate all the love and support from everybody, and let's get them numbers up, y'all. I'm putting in a lot of hard work behind the scenes, so let's get them numbers up because we got some more guests and some big guests coming on here soon. So let's definitely get that. Help your boy out. Really support like that. You know what I'm saying? My special guest, of course, in the building today is Mr. Andy Bagwell himself. Andy, how are you, my guy?
I'm good, Zell. How you doing, man? And listen, you're right. You got to get those numbers up. Let's go. Let's get those numbers up. Everybody subscribe. Yeah, no, I'm doing all right, man. Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited to chat with you.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that, Andy. But it's hard work. People don't understand. They think that you just get in front of a camera, you get in front of a microphone, and just let it go like that. No, it's a lot of production that goes on behind the scenes that people just don't understand. They not into it like that. So, when you say hit the subscribe button, for sure, you got to it's time to get them numbers up, y'all. For sure. Like Andy said, let's definitely get them numbers up or whatever, because there's some big things coming. I got some giveaways coming, giving away some merchandise. I'm giving away some free tickets here soon in the future. So in order to find out about it all, though, but what you got to do, you got to subscribe to the channel. You got to follow me on my socials, because you never know where I'm going to post it as far as the giveaways is concerned. You know what I'm saying? So, but listen, Andy, like I tell everybody, come on in, get comfortable, kick your shoes off. You know what I'm saying? We're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time. You need something to drink or whatever the case may be. I'm trying to show the hospitality. Of course, whatever. I got you. But we here to chop it up today. We gonna do it like my guy Jonathan does or whatever, like me and Jonathan do. Everything is off the whim and off the top of the dome today. No topics, no scripts, no anything like that. So I gotta introduce you because, well, you know what? I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Oh man,
tell everybody about it.
Yeah, so yeah, man, I like the title you have for me here, a professional Duke hater. I think that's kind of what I've become. So over the years, so for anybody that doesn't know, I'm the co-author of 2 books. The first one was Duke Sucks. That book was published way back in 2012. Because of that first book, I was interviewed and appeared quite a lot on an ESPN 30 for 30 called "I Hate Christian Laettner," which we can talk about that a little bit. And by the way, I still do, Zell. And then a year ago now, 2023, my co-author and I, Reed Tucker, released our follow-up book, naturally called Duke Still Sucks. Did that and a couple books out, and every day they give us more material, Zell. So some future date we'll have to put out another one. And since that time, love to get on everything and all things UNC and chat about things, and obviously a huge Carolina fan and college sports fan in general. So that's me. And again, appreciate you having me, man. I'm looking forward to the chat.
Absolutely. And listen, the title for the third one, Duke really sucks.
Seriously, right? Or Duke will always suck. I mean, it's just, what can you do? It's going to be something, right? And they just keep pumping it out, man.
Yeah. I got a lot of I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though we are rivals and stuff, like I got a lot of Duke fans and some other podcasters that they watch the show and things like that. So I know I'm gonna hear it from them. I mean, they real solid guys. Like, they're my guys for sure behind the scenes. Like, we talk all the time and everything. But when it comes to the rival, you know what it is, right? With Carolina,
I got
Duke
friends, man. At least they tell me they're still my friends, So I got buddies that went to Duke that are big Duke fans. It's it's fun, man. The rivalry is fun. You just give it back and forth to each other a little bit, and it's just sports, man. It's fun to be part of, and it's fun to jab back and forth, and everybody gets theirs in. So no, it's all good. It's all good.
Listen, second greatest rivalry in sports to me. I mean, in basketball first? For sure. Number one. Who I got first? I got you got to give it to the Yankees and the Red Sox.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's right up there, and you got a longer history with that. I mean, going back almost 100 years now. So, and professional teams. But I'd say in college sports in the U.S. especially,
it's number one.
It's number one. I hope it always will be.
For sure.
But yeah, it is.
In basketball in general, it's number one.
Yeah.
And that's professionally and college. Like, I mean,
agree.
you just, like you said, you can't take away from the Yankees Red Sox because it just goes back so far.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean that's a given. But Duke in North Carolina is number 2, hands down. And then I would go with probably Michigan, Ohio State, maybe in football.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, that one's a big one. You get up in there and you get one of those games. I mean, you're talking about both of those stadiums hold 100,000 people, and it's loud. And those people they hate each other just as much. And it's both teams are almost always good. It's kind of like with UNC and Duke in basketball. They have their ups and downs, but they're usually good, and that's what makes for a good rivalry. But it's funny, man. There's a lot of like rivalries you don't think about, but that are really good. They're just smaller. Like, have you ever talked to somebody that either goes to Xavier or Cincinnati? Like that's a blood rivalry, man. They hate each other.
Yeah.
So
there's
so many good ones around the sports world. I mean, we're just lucky that we get to be part of one that is, kind of nationally known, internationally known, being these two. But man, I love a good rivalry. I love the passion that comes with it with sports fans. It's just fun, man. It's just fun.
For sure. Like I'm right there with you, man. Like I'm a college basketball head. Like, you got like people just got like sneaker heads and things like that. I'm also a sneakerhead too. Like, I just love sneakers. I'm a hat freak as well. Like I got about 100 different hats of different teams. Few teams I will never wear, but hey, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you speak about just being a college basketball head, like you said, that like the rivalries, there's a lot of them out there. The Oklahoma State,
Mm-hmm.
there's like you said, Xavier, Cincinnati, Kentucky, Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the list just goes
USC,
on and on.
UCLA.
There's just so
Yeah.
many. Yeah, like it's just so much. And I mean, I think that's what that's part of what makes college basketball what it is. Like college basketball to me is just I forgot who it was that I was talking to, but they was just saying that's what makes it so glorious. Like it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
I think they're starting to get away from it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the conference thing kind of gets in the way of a lot of stuff, right? The conference realignment hurts because then these guys don't play each other, because they're getting split into different conferences. I mean, in this year, not as much in basketball, but in football, Texas A&M and Texas, that was a great rivalry, and then they went to different conferences. So,
Mhm.
I know we're biased, we're college basketball guys, but like I still think college basketball has the best postseason event of any other sport. Like the March Madness to me cannot be touched by NBA playoffs, NFL playoffs. I mean, Super Bowl's up
Mhm.
there, but you got a month of amazing games, so much drama, so many memorable things. So to me, the postseason of college basketball is what makes it such a compelling sport. The rivalries, the history. The other thing is a lot of people, and you don't have you can be a fan of a school, you can go there, but
Mhm.
you either way you get a very close connection personally with the team that you have,
Right.
and you start building these relationships. You can go, like for Carolina, man, you can go anywhere. You can see Tar Heel gear and you got an instant connection with somebody, and they got a story. I've got a story. You've got a story. Like, oh yeah, I remember my first game, or I was at this game and it was so amazing. So
Mhm.
it just builds that. That's to me, you just don't get that as much with a lot of other sports, and so to me, that's why it's so amazing and it's so captivating for me and so many other people.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like like I said, I love college basketball. It's my favorite thing to watch on TV when college is going on and all of that. Like I like the NBA, but I hate the NBA at the moment. Like I grew up with I'm a Knicks fan. So,
Mm,
of course I grew up with the Knicks and Miami Heat rivalry,
hmm
watching Michael Jordan and them guys. Like I'm from that era. So back then that was the best era of basketball. This new era, I don't know what it is. I'm not really too fond of it, not a big fan of it or anything like that. The NFL, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't tell you the last time that I've watched a game in the NFL.
really,
Like,
yeah,
and that's, like and I'm talking about a full season. Like, I probably haven't watched the NFL game in the past 3 years, maybe. And I don't even
really,
watch the Super Bowls like that, unless I'm
really,
invited over somebody's house or something like that. But even then, I still don't watch it. It's
yeah,
just, it's not exciting to me. Everything is entertainment. I love baseball, but I can't
hmm
watch a whole season of baseball.
no,
Only if it's the World Series and my Yankees is in it, or something like that, or whatever. But yeah, other than that, nah.
yeah. Do you
Trying
have
to
a?
get a
Did you
little
have
bit more into college football.
Yeah, college football. Yeah, I mean, I wish that. Well, I'll tell you, man. When college football is good, it is really good. So I don't know. A lot of people know this about me. I actually grew up a Clemson fan. So my dad was the head cheerleader at Clemson when he went to school there. So I grew up going down. I grew up in Western North Carolina. Go down to Clemson games. That's fun, man. Like that's big time college football. Big time,
Yeah.
tailgating scene. And when they're good, when any college football team is good, it's a lot of fun. It doesn't top basketball for me, but it's fun, man. And then in the few years when
Yeah.
Carolina's had really good football, it's fun to be a part of, fun to get into, but yeah, but it's when it's not good, it's rough. It kind of falls off the radar for me. But
Yeah.
it's I'm hoping that Carolina can get back there and have consistently good football, because the thing is, and I don't know if we talked about this or not, but like nowadays the way college sports is, you kind of have to be good at football because it's driving everything else
Right.
from the money standpoint, which really sucks, right? It's not what we want,
Right.
but you kind of have to be competitive, or else it's going to start affecting all the other things that you love about your teams.
Yeah. So I tell you, we can discuss it, because
Okay.
we can discuss it, because I do have I got a big episode coming up soon. As a matter of fact, within the next day or two, with some football players. But since we're on the football topic, right?
Okay, let's go.
Everybody knows, I'm sure everybody has heard about the big news floating around Chapel Hill at the moment, that the 6-time as a head coach, Super Bowl champion Bill Belichick could possibly be a Tar Heel within the next day or two, whatever the case may be. How do you feel about it? And do you like it? Do you think it'll work? What's your thoughts on that if it happens? Because as we're speaking, it hasn't happened yet. So
I wore my hoodie tonight, Zell, because that's Belichick. He's the hoodie. Now I didn't cut the sleeves off in this thing yet, but man, it's and then by the time this airs, who knows? Maybe it'll be official, or maybe it won't. But when I first heard about it, I thought that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Why in the world would that happen?
Right.
And I thought, well, that's got to be just a big PR move on the part of Belichick, because he wants to get back into pro coaching. PR move by Carolina because get some attention on the job. I didn't know that Belichick's father was like an assistant coach of some sort for Carolina football in the 50s. Like I had no idea he had a connection to the school. So I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is actually legit, but there's no way that he would be doing this. I'll tell you, man, the more I think about it, and maybe it's just me being a fan, I'm going to jump on board with whatever. I'm always going to find a positive in terms of whatever we do, because I just love my Tar Heels. But it's a risk, right? It's risky. But at this point, the way football is going, the way college sports are going, I think you might have to take a risk, even if it fails miserably.
Right.
The game is so different, and the system is so different than it was even 3 years ago with NIL and the transfer portal. You got to tackle things differently. And so, I mean, if you look at it from a positive sense, Zell, so what's the name of the game right now? You got to have NIL, and you got to have backers to come, give you money. So you got NIL for players. And you got to know how to roster build like that, right? Because you're loading up out of the port. Look at what Prime did at Colorado, right? I mean, he went out there and in an off season built his roster. He took a lot of guys with him from Jacksonville State, but like you got to build through the transfer portal. You got to know how to build a roster. It's not the same as it was. It doesn't matter how well anymore. You can go into the living room of a high school player and eat his mama's mac and cheese and talk about how awesome it is, and that's just not the name of the game anymore. So in some respects, like that's much more professional model. It's free agency without contracts. And so to me, you might need a pro mindset to be able to come in there and like put together a roster in shorter, and God knows he's attracted attention, right? So if you're a college football player, period, one, who Belichick is for sure.
Right.
He's going to get you to the NFL, or he's going to do everything he can to get you NFL. That's going to help. I mean, but So if I look at it from a positive sense, I'm talking myself into it basically. But at the same time, like on the other end of it, he didn't. Tom Brady doesn't have any more eligibility, Zell. I don't know. Maybe he'd come in and play QB for us at this point. But it wasn't great for Belichick after Brady retired. So I'm a little worried that maybe I don't know. So that part of it worries me a little bit. But at this point, like I said, roll the dice. What do we really have to lose? I don't know.
Right.
So we'll see. What do you think? I mean, you think this is the right move, or you think this is a disaster?
So I love it. I'm gonna be honest with you. And once again, I'm not a big I watch some of the football when it comes to college, especially when it comes to Carolina, but I'm not a college football head either. Like college basketball that's my lane, right? I love the fact that Bill Belichick is considering whatever the case may be. I love it. I think that I'm like you. I did not know that he had Carolina ties at all until this past few days or whatever the case may be. I look at it as it's a big. I think it's more positive than anything negative. I listened to the interview that Bubba Cunningham did with Go Hills. I think it was last week right after Maui. And, his thing was, of course, he wants to get it done quick. He wants to get it done, as soon as possible. And he's looking for somebody that's going to be here for the next 5 to 10 to 15, 20 years. If that is the case, and that's the route that you was actually trying to go, then maybe that might not be for Bill Belichick, just because of the fact of him being an older guy. I thought Carolina was really just gonna go that looking for the younger coach route, which they was kind of adamant about that. The way that that interviews and things was happening, they was adamant about saying that they wanted to go younger. So of course, I was with that as well. Summerall. What's the other one? Is it Schumann?
Schumann? Yeah, Schumann at Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah. So, of course, I was all in on Summerall or Schumann, whichever one that they wanted to do. And then, Bill comes into the play, and it's like, okay, if Bill comes, you're not going to get 15, 20 years from him. You might not even get 10. But number one, it's going to bring in revenue for sure if he comes. He's going to be able to pretty much kind of recruit anybody he wants because that's Bill Belichick. As a matter of fact, he's not even going to have to go out or whatever and do no recruiting. They're going to call him the players are just going to call him, period. Yep. Because that's Bill Belichick. But I don't think that he would have to go out and do the recruiting anyway, as I sat back and I started to really think about that, because, he's going to have his guys kind of pretty much do that for him. Maybe a few visits here and there, but that's about it. But all of the other, trying to do all of that, he's not doing that. He's going to have a team for that. Yeah. He's going to give you, like I said, he's going to give you about 5 to 10 years, which is pretty good because that's enough time for him to get in, turn this program around, get it to where it needs to be. He's making comments saying that, UNC is going to be a pipeline to the NFL. That's just going to be eye-attracting for so many players who's just going to want to come and play up under him just because of who he is and his resume. So that helps out Carolina a whole lot. Like I said, they're going to generate a lot of money. And I think within the next couple of years, year or two, something like that, you're going to see Carolina in that CFB conversation. I really do think so. And I think that college football as a whole should be worried that Bill Belichick is coming to college football. Because he's going to make it harder for other schools. I mean, not saying that they're not, but he's going to make it harder for them to get recruits. I mean, it's just going to be different with him being a football coach. So I love it. I think that, I mean, the man still wants to coach. He's an amazing coach.
Mm-hmm.
Then let him coach. And if he wants to come to Carolina, you don't turn that down. Period. It doesn't matter who your other candidates are, whatever the case may be. Even if you just keep him for 5 years, then okay, fine. But you cannot turn down Bill Belichick. Like you just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, so I love it, and I think it's gonna be great for Carolina. I think it's gonna be great. Not to mention, I also heard this little tidbit. Look at what that might do for the ACC, because they're talking about all of this conference realignment, things like that, whatever the case may be. Look at what that may do for that as well. So everything is positive with this whole thing. The only downfall maybe for it is the fact that he's an older guy that, he's the total opposite of what they really wanted to try and go after, which was a younger coach. So, but you can't take away the experience or anything like that. So I love it. It's going to be great. We're going to beat rivals. Well, I mean, it's just what it is. No more of that NC State, Duke beating us like that. No more of that. No more of that. I can't
have that.
And he's coming in to clean house.
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to bring all of his boys with him. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. It's like, and we gotta stop losing the State and Duke. We never lost to Duke in football. This is killing me, man. Now these Duke guys that are coming after me, not with the basketball wins, but talking about football wins. We can't have that. I can't have that at all. So
right.
I'll tell you one more question on this. So I was trying to think about this. Bill Belichick coming in to coach Carolina, like what would be the basketball equivalent of that? Not saying Hubert needs to go anywhere, but like just in general, would it be like Popovich? Like if Popovich said he was going to come and coach a college team? I was trying to think about this because I was trying to explain it to a friend of mine. Like, no, dude, this is like, so I don't know who it would be though. Popovich is the guy that came to mind.
Are you now? Let me ask you this: are you asking me who I would prefer, or who would that be equivalent to?
It's the equivalent. Yeah, preference aside, who is the equivalent to Bill Belichick in the NBA or in the college game? I don't know. There's nobody that's like recently retired like he is. That's had like multiple championships, but Popovich is the guy to me that's like the GOAT in the NBA right now. But I don't know.
It has to be an active coach.
No, just an NBA coach, a former NBA coach, and maybe doesn't have a lot of college experience that's now going to come into college. I don't know who that would be.
Oh, you got to go with Phil Jackson.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Because he's old. Yeah, he'd be the GOAT. Yeah. Maybe like a couple years ago, because he's like really old now. But like, that's a good point because he played in the NBA, never coached college. That's true. Right. That's true. It'd be Phil Jackson.
But now that Pop is right there though. Pop is right there.
Yeah.
He's right there.
Yeah. So it'd be the same kind of thing. But I don't know, something fun to think about. But yeah.
Now let me ask you this, since you jumped on that kind of question or whatever.
All right.
And once again, this is no indictment or anything on Hubert. Like we're not trying to sit up and say that we're pushing Hubert out the door or anything like that. If you had to make a decision and it came down and they said, Andy, we want you to pick who you would like for UNC's next head coach. We're not kicking Hubert out, but when Hubert retires, whatever the case may be, we want you to pick who you would like as the UNC the men's basketball head coach. Who would you pick?
Man, that's so tough. John Shire. No, I'm just playing. I'm kidding you, man. I'm kidding you. So If I think about if I think about the NBA and I think about, because I think you got to have a certain type of guy at Carolina, right? You got to have not necessarily has to be a former UNC guy, player, coach, whatever, but just that mentality, that going back to the roots, Dean Smith and stuff. I mean, the first guy, I'd have to think about this a little bit. Coach of the Warriors,
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr, one of the first guys that kind of pops to mind. Now they've had their struggles and stuff in the league, but like I think just in terms of the mentality that he brings, a guy who has been successful in the NBA as a player, as a coach, and I think he would be a guy that would be really amazing as a coach and would be the right fit for Carolina. But I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I mean, like you, I don't watch a ton of NBA either now. So I don't even know who was like obviously Popovich and but I don't know even some of these other crop of guys that I would put up there. But that's the first guy.
It don't have to be it don't have to be an NBA coach. It could be a college coach.
There's this coach at Millikan University, Buffaloes. I don't know if you know this guy, Coach Rob. You know that guy? Let's get him over there. No,
Coach Rob.
I mean, he's good. He could do it. He's a good dude. So I don't know. I mean, in the college game, of course, I don't know, because I think the other thing is, it's like the football discussions. They'll like college game is changing, right? And so the guys that I would think about that are good traditional college basketball players, it's a little bit different now, right? With the way that the game is going. So someone who would be really successful might not look the same as somebody who's been successful in the last 5 years or so. So it's really hard to say. If you could give me a crystal ball and I could look 3 years into the future and know what the game is going to be like, know what conference alignment's going to be like, if we have a lot of these other things that are going to make it a little more structured, it might be a different answer. I don't know who would you have? Who'd be your guy?
Oh, without a doubt, like give me Jay Wright.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. He was, but he's not cut out for what the game is. If you could just let him coach all day, every day. But I mean, he clearly got out because he didn't want to play the NIL transfer portal thing. So, but he would be great.
Yeah, but I think for UNC he would come back. I really do believe he would come back for UNC, and he would deal with it. He would figure everything out. Like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a GM. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have everything. I'm gonna have all my ducks in a row. Like, I want Jay Wright to coach the Knicks right now. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Tom Thibodeau. So give me Jay Wright. You got all of your Nova Knicks over there. So if I'm gonna pick him for the Knicks, I'm certainly gonna pick him for UNC. Like, and that's like I said, that's no slout or anything towards any of the former UNC players that were coaches or whatever, as far as Stackhouse or Wes Miller or anybody like that. But I like Jay Wright. I love Jay Wright.
That's a good call, man. That's a good call. No, I like that. It's a good call, because he definitely, he was definitely a great coach. What he did there with that program and everything. So I'd like him at the Knicks. I like that call, man. That's an even better call. He can go do that. Like, he's already got to have his boys there anyway. So that'd be fun to watch. Yeah. I might watch.
It's time to get rid of Tom Thibodeau, man. I'm just.
How's that man's head?
I like Tibbs, but
he's just too intense. He's like, that boy sweats. That boy sweats a lot. Man. So it is what it is. It is what it is. But so that was listen. Go Heels. I do think it's a lot that Bill Belichick is coming.
I mean, that's just my thoughts. That's just my opinion. Just from things that I've heard, even from behind the scenes. And I think it's gonna work out for Carolina. It's
Right.
these next couple of days is gonna determine, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel, but it's really gonna be a great day to be a Tar Heel.
All right.
So,
yeah, I'm with you. All right. I'm sold, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So I gotta ask you this.
Okay.
Because it happened yesterday.
Okay.
How do you feel about the AJ Dybantsa situation? Like
It's tough,
the
man.
recruitment, all of that.
I mean, you probably know better than I do. I'm just reading stuff, hearing things in terms of like, where he wanted to go. It certainly sounded like he liked Carolina a lot. In some respects, it's easier for me to lose a recruit to a school like BYU, which is I'm probably never going to see him. Like, who was it that went? Where did Cade Cunningham end up at? I feel like he was another guy that should have been a Tar Heel, and then he went to somewhere. Oh no! I'm thinking of who's got to play for the Celtics? Brown that went to Cal. It was a guy that was like
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. Like he was a guy that Carolina was recruiting hard, and I think it came down to us, and he went to Cal. I was like, okay, whatever. He'll go and do his thing at Cal, and then he's off the NBA. First of all, with AJ, it's kind of wild. Like I'd heard of some crazy NIL numbers that what got him to BYU, and to me that's unfortunate, right? It's just about the money, and I know he has a connection out there because he went to the prep school out there and everything, but like, and they've got some history there, with like Jimmy Fredette and all the dudes, but it's discouraging, man, that like a guy like that who wants to be playing at the top stage, the top programs to get the most attention, have the most chance for if what's important to you is being on a big stage and having a chance at a championship. I don't know why you go somewhere like BYU. That just says to me that, and maybe it wasn't his choice. A lot of times, some players, man, sometimes it's not up to them always. And so if that's a situation,
right.
Like I think that's what happened with Gigi Jackson. You think about what Gigi, did you follow that recruitment at all? Like, yeah. I mean, that you still see stuff from him on social media where like he's practically a Tar Heel, man. So like, it's certainly from what I heard was he wanted to be to Carolina, and he kind of got pulled in another direction. I hope that's not the case with AJ, and he was the guy that said, no, this is where I want to go. So I kind of hate that if that was the case, but at the same time, like, it worries me a little bit that because obviously we got Drake and Ian this year. Those are top guys, but like we hadn't had a number one recruit since what? Harrison Barnes? Was that the last time we got the first number one guy in the class?
2010. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 2010.
So I mean, that's a long time, and we've got some good classes since then, right? Don't get me wrong. We've got some very, very talented dudes, but every year it seemed like we used to be in the running for those guys, and it's tough to see him go somewhere else. But I don't know. I guess I don't know. I mean, what was your thinking, man? Did you see it coming, or did you think he was coming to Carolina?
So there's a lot to this whole AJ situation, and even just Carolina as a whole in their recruiting, I guess you could say. And a lot of this has just started, back in April of this year, missing out on so many players in the portal, missing out on all of these recruits that we had eyes on, and for the longest, because I'm in some discords, I'm in a few discords. And, I've told them, I've even spoken to Sherelle McMillan about this. I've had him on the show. Big shout out to Sherelle. I had him on the show, and my whole thing was, I think that it is still, I think there's a smear campaign going on about against UNC, because it's these medias that are pushing this narrative, pushing this agenda, and what that does is it affects the kids that are looking to try that might want to possibly come to Carolina. If a big media page puts out there, hey, North Carolina's broke, they ain't got no money, or whatever the case may be, things like that, then whatever kid that wants to come to UNC, first thing, if they hear that, first thing they're going to think is, oh, well, they ain't got no money. Well, I'm going to go elsewhere. But at the same time, I'm going to use North Carolina for their leverage. Because if I put North Carolina on my final 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever, then other schools are going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, North Carolina's right there in the runnings. Well, I tell you what, let me boost this up a little bit. Let me offer him a little bit more, and I think that these kids are using North Carolina as leverage to get more from to see what other schools are going to offer them, when 9 times out of 10, a lot of the times they might want to really go to Carolina, but the fact if Carolina ain't got the money and these other schools is offering the money, then of course they're going to follow the money. As far as the AJ Dybantsa situation, this kid was already committed back in November when they did the early signing day. Yeah. He had already signed and everything. So I'm not upset at all. Like, if you want to go to BYU, fine. Go to BYU if that's what you want to do. The only thing that really upsets me about the situation is, number one, there's a couple of things. Number one, you was already signed back in November. Why are you trolling, as they say nowadays, these other schools? Why are you trolling Alabama? Why are you trolling UNC? Why are you trolling Kansas? These are other schools that can be focused on other players if you are not coming to their school and you're already going to BYU. Why is your dad coming to the UNC Alabama game when you was already signed to BYU almost over a month ago? Like, why? Why are you still having these talks with Hubert Davis and Nate Oates and Bill Self and all of that and stuff? Well, why are you even dealing and associating with these other teams? We all knew that BYU a long time ago was the lead runner who offered you $4.5 million, which I think is ridiculous. I don't mind players getting paid. But I think $4.5 million for a kid that's only 17, 18 years old is ridiculous. It's crazy. Take some financial classes or something like that. Make these kids take some financial classes. You got to put some stipulations and some clauses in these things now if they're going to start making this type of money. Period. I don't care what anybody says. Get it, but some stipulations got to be made. But back to this whole AJ thing. I've never met a player or heard of a player that's going to sit up, do all of this trolling, and then all of a sudden you go on international TV because First Take is global, and you commit to a school over North Carolina, Kansas, and Alabama. Like, it just don't make sense. And when people say, why did you pick BYU? The only thing you can come up with is, oh, well, Kevin Young, he coached Kevin Durant, who's like my idol player. That's your only reason? No, we know your reason. So just tell us what your reason is. Just tell us what your reason is. Stop all of this trolling. Like, you and your dad. Like, both of y'all. All y'all doing is all of this trolling, and it's just ridiculous. And you're wasting people's times all because you seeking attention. Yeah, like, I just think that's wrong. When clearly you've already been signed over a month ago. You shouldn't do that. And
I mean, it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful
Yeah.
to the other coaches that are recruiting you, and you said it, man. It's a waste of time. And to me, if you're a kid and you're 17, you might not know any better. His dad's a grown man. He knows better,
Right.
and you don't need
Right.
to be wasting people's time. And I don't know, man. I have to say, I just think at some point that stuff comes back to you. I'm like a karma guy, man. You pull stuff like that, and you never know down the road. You might need the help of a Bill Self or a Nate Oates or a Hubert Davis. And you know what their last impression of you was? You jerking them around and basically lying to their face. So I get that stuff like that happens, but that does seem pretty egregious, and I don't like it. So, but you know what? If that tells
Yeah.
me too, Zell, is like if that's the type of guy he is, that's the type of family he is. We don't want that, Carolina. We don't need that kind of drama, man.
Yeah.
We don't need that. So
Right.
so he's in the right place. He's not here.
And he's and I'll tell you this, and I've noticed it. I mean, he's very, very arrogant and cocky. Very arrogant and cocky. Like, I don't know if you've seen the announcement with him on First Take with Stephen A. Smith.
I didn't
But
see it yet. No.
yeah, you might have to just YouTube. I'm sure they got clips
Okay.
of it. But when you watch it, you're gonna see the arrogance from him, from his father. You're gonna see it. I mean, it was so arrogant that, I mean, when he made the decision, and I'll just throw this out there. When he made the decision, the first thing Stephen A. Smith said was, congratulations and all of that. But Stephen A. was like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did not expect you to pick BYU. So, of course, then that's when they asked Stephen A. Smith, well, who did you think it was? And he was just like, well, listen, I thought you was going to pick North Carolina. Just because of the Duke, UNC rivalry, things like that. So then he comes back and he cuts Stephen A. off, and he's like, well, what makes you think that I can't play Duke at BYU? So Stephen A. comes back and he's like, listen, that could be true. You could do that. But there ain't nothing like a UNC versus Duke. You know that. Like,
Yeah.
that is the biggest rivalry. You don't try and make it like you trying to boost a BYU versus Duke rivalry or whatever the case may be. It's not going to happen. Like, I mean, come on now. And, then Dad comes on. Dad is like, oh, well, yeah, he's a one and done. 100%. He's a one and done. Like, it's the cockiness and the arrogance. I did not like, listen, I ain't mad at you for going to get the bag. If that's what you went to get, $7 million is a lot of money. I mean, that is a lot of money for a player that like that or whatever. But I mean, at the same time, this stuff has to stop. It's got to stop. This is not recruitment is not exciting as it used to be.
It's not recruitment. It's not recruitment. It's just bag dropping, and it's who's got the biggest bag, and that's it. And that's not recruiting, man. That you're not, and it's gonna, if it keeps up that way, and it's just a mercenary situation, then it's not going to be as compelling to watch because the guys won't care. They're just there to get a bag and then move on, and that's not what it's about. I mean, you look at the roster this year. Like I know we've got some problems. Take a kid like Seth Trimble, man. Like he came to Carolina, he was pretty highly recruited, struggled, but he stuck around, and now he's like balling out, right? So that to me is why you enjoy college basketball, and I like to see the guys who are really talented. That makes the game fun to watch. Like an AJ is clearly a talented guy, but they're gone, man. Like I don't even remember half of these dudes that played for Duke for 1 year and came in and played a couple games and they're gone. I mean, as a college basketball fan, it's fun to think about getting those guys, but they aren't there for long and they don't really leave that big of an impression. So I don't know, man. We'll see where the game goes, but I don't have a lot of patience for those types of guys. And if that's going to be the type of dude they are, then I don't really want them at Carolina. Man, as talented as they are, and as much as we could use a talent like that, do your thing, and we'll try to do ours.
Yeah, and I just you know, at excuse me, at BYU, he's going to be able to pretty much just kind of do what he wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he knows that if he would have went to Carolina, that wasn't going to be the case.
No.
Like,
No.
you're not just coming over here just doing whatever you think you might be able to do.
Right.
No, that's not gonna happen, pretty much. I mean, and I think, of course, Hubert told him that. And I mean, some things he liked, some things he didn't like. I mean, but you know, I'm like you, if this is how you're gonna act, then please, by all means, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't matter how good you are, your attitude. I've heard some things about, you know, his lack of effort on the court. I've seen some videos of some things that just didn't look too pleasing. Would have been good to have him. Absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't you take him? But at the same time, there's a lot that's probably coming with that.
Yep.
So,
For sure.
I mean, and it's not just him in this whole recruitment. It's all of them. It's all these recruitment players.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
So
it's what it's become, man. It's what it's become. And the thing is too, you know, like we were talking about with football, like you got to have the high school, you know, you want to get these top 10 kids out of high school because they're talented, right? They're very talented kids, and you never know, it might be one and done, but maybe they hang around for 2 years and they, you know, kill it. But you can also build a roster in other ways these days. It's not like it once was where, you know, you had to program build over the years. But you can go and get a guy like, you know, but it's never guaranteed. Sometimes it works out really well. Sometimes it doesn't. But I don't fret about it as much as I used to with not getting the high school recruits because who was a kid? It was a couple years ago. This is my attitude, not with a guy like AJ, but some of these guys who were like in the 20, 30 ranks, they want to come to Carolina and maybe they look at the roster and their position is a little bit crowded and they go somewhere else. I mean, honest to God, man, the last couple of years, the first thing I think is, well, he could come back in a year or two. He just transfer here when this roster spot clears up. So a lot of these guys, you know, if they're not completely one and done, they might not be Tar Heels today, but they might be Tar Heels tomorrow. You know, there's plenty of guys like that. So I don't fret about it as much as I used to, but I still worry that if you're not bringing in talent, you know, year over year, then your program is going to suffer. But you know, we'll see on to the next. I mean, what are you hearing? Like this other kid, is it Caleb Wilson? Is the other one that's still out there for Carolina in this class?
Caleb Wilson.
Yeah.
I from what I'm hearing, he's down to two schools. It's Carolina and Kentucky. Because I just can't see him going to Tennessee, UCF, or Ohio State, which are, you know, of course, with Kentucky and Carolina. I think he's coming to UNC.
All right,
but I've heard some things that, you know, right now is still kind of up in the air. But I think he's leaning more towards UNC just because of how he's moving. Like, you gotta, like I tell people all the time, you gotta learn how to read the room. Like, and look at the tea leaves. And a lot of things are working out to me in UNC's favor, but then I'm hearing some other mixed things in regards to him coming. So it's kind of like still up in the air, if you ask me. But he's another one of those situations. He's another one of those situations that's like, all of this trolling is ridiculous. Like, who's to say that he hasn't already signed either?
Oh man, I hope not.
During National Signing Day. And if you have signed, and if you do, let's say he does go ahead and pick Kentucky, which it's been Kentucky for the past 3 months, whatever the case may be. If you've already signed, then what is the point in waiting another month after you've signed, or a month and a half or whatever, to say that you're going to Kentucky if it was Kentucky all along?
Yeah, that's not cool.
Like,
right? Yeah,
how much time do you have to waste?
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
for the other schools? Like,
Yeah.
that's my only problem. That's my only problem. Like,
yeah. No, I get.
it's just like
I
it's disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. And so let's hope that's not the case with him. We'll see. I guess we still got a little ways to go before we know what he's going to do. But I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll get ours. I think. Hopefully, we do need a little help
Yeah.
right now. So, but
Yeah.
but we'll get ours.
Hey, which brings me to my next question. I guess we could delve into it, right? Since
Yep.
we're on it, as far as this year's team.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. I think,
Mhm.
I'm not saying anything that anybody else hadn't said. We knew this team was going to miss Mondo, right? I mean, and the staff tried, like we talked about earlier. Man, they tried to get a bunch of dudes, right? They made every effort to try to shore up that spot, and I think you had hopes that Jay Wash would be able to handle the load. But I mean, I'm not a guy to bash a college player, right? I just in terms of
Right.
but I mean, Jay Wash, man, he didn't play his last 2 years of high school. He barely played his
Right.
freshman year. He played a little bit last year. This is a kid who really has not played meaningful basketball minutes in 4 years. That's a lot to ask of a guy, right? And so
Right.
I think this team, once you kind of got through that, you got, Ben Allen Lubin and Ty Claude on the team, but you had a bit of a fatal flaw, right, on this roster, right? You had a bit of a hole in the front court, and so you'd hope that the talented guards and the wings and stuff would kind of overcome that. I still think though, Zell, like the season is long, and I'm a positive guy. You got to get through these next couple weeks and have some wins, but it's a long season and a lot can happen. I mean, I think that's just the nature of the game now, because talent is spread out amongst college basketball a lot more than it used to be. And you think about that. You think about Hubert's first year when we made the run to beat Duke in the Final Four. That team was on the ropes, dude. Like, they were on the ropes up until January, and they made an amazing run.
Yep.
And you talk about it, but that was one of the most memorable Carolina basketball runs of all time. So I'm not hitting the panic button yet on this season, because I think there is talent on the roster, but
Right.
they're gonna have to kind of find their way back to what they do well. And then hope that one of these other guys just starts to hit their groove a little bit and can give them something in the post. But there's a lot to talk about with all the individual players, but that's generally my feeling right now is it's not great. We knew this was going to be a problem, but there's still a lot of
Right.
time, and things can still go right. I mean, what's your thinking, man? Are we in big trouble here, or we just hit a tough road?
So I like how we bounce back and forth with each other,
Yeah.
Andy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I like how we do that. So I'm not one to bash players or anything either.
Yeah.
I'm a believer that, at some point we're gonna get things together. I do think in the beginning of every season, the expectations from fans don't really live up to the expectations that the fans try to base things off of, I guess you could say. Everybody wants it's like instant gratification. Everybody wants Carolina to come out of the gate on fire. Granted, that does happen sometimes. However, at the same time, excuse me, everybody should also understand and look at the reality of things from the fact that you do not have inside presence like you've had in previous years. There is no Mondo. Like, that's just it. There is no Psycho T down there. There is no Big May. There is no Bryce Johnson, no John Henson. There is none of that, right?
Mm-mm.
We have a lot of really good players. I think that there's a few things that have kind of shuffled some things up, I guess you could say, and shuffled some lineups, shuffled some players up as far as the positions that they should be playing versus the positions that they are now playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are some players that have shuffled and, you know, kind of took that, kind of messed up the rotation, I guess you could say. I think that once these players that are in a rut, I guess you could say, start kind of showing some things, then of course that's going to make the team a whole lot better. I was having a talk with, as a matter of fact, I had this talk with Rayshawn and Dino, David Noel, for everybody that don't know. But I was having this talk with them, and I want to get your viewpoint on it as well. I think that Coach Davis should go back to the Guthridge method, the Bill Guthridge method. Now, a lot of people, every time I say that, a lot of people always ask me, Zell, what do you mean?
You talking about 98?
Right? The 6-man rotation?
Yep.
Okay. See? And Andy's on the same page with me. But you'd be surprised at how many people, you know, you'd be surprised at how many people really ask me, like, yo, what is the Bill Guthridge method? Right? I think that Coach Davis should go with that method. I'm gonna tell you why. There's a couple for a couple of reasons why. Number one, now teams, when they're preparing for you and they're preparing for that week or whatever the case may be, the first thing that your opponent already thinks is RJ, Elliott, Seth, Withers, and Washington. That's Carolina's starting 5, right? But let's say they prepare for that or whatever. Like, okay, these are the starters. When we come out, we're going to come out blazing. We're going to go about 15, 20 or whatever because they're not a good first half team, right? That's the team's preparation. Okay, now, Carolina, let's switch it up. Instead of it being these 5, then let's prepare and pick a starting lineup for whomever the team is that you're playing. So if you're playing a big team, let's go big. You're playing a fast team, let's match them. If you're playing a slow team, then put out a lineup that's going to be like, all right, let's go this route. Let's go fast if they want to play slow. Like, change up the players. Change up the players, put them in a rotation. A couple of things that's going to do is, number one, going to boost confidence for those that lack it at the moment. You put, and I'm not, and I'll just throw a name out there, of course, and I'm not here to pick on him because I love him to death. Had a chance to meet him and everything. But Cade Tyson right now lacks confidence. But if you put him out there and you put him in the rotation as a starter against a American, against a LaSalle, against a Boston College or something like that, let him get out there, get into the rhythm of, okay, I'm a starter. I might get out here. I might hit 4 3-pointers right here in the first 7 minutes of the game. But what that's doing is it's building up and boosting up his confidence so that now he has some playing time. That way he's not sitting on the bench or whatever and waiting for his number to be called. He's more so now in a rotation with the other players because he continues to build his confidence. He continues to build it. Kid continues to build it. Next game, he might not start, but he's still in a little rhythm now because of the previous game. He's got a little rhythm going now. Instead of just saying, Cade, go in, and you're throwing him out there or whatever, and here it is. He's only been averaging on a minute to 2 minutes for the past 3-4 games.
Yeah.
What that also does is it helps you retain players at the end of the season.
Yeah, because they've gotten some burn. They've all gotten some burn. And they not only did they get some burn, but they were starters. Like, imagine somebody, I'll use me as an example. Imagine me coming in and Coach Davis is like, yo, I'm going to do this rotation or whatever. And it's 40 games in the season. Okay. 10 of those games out of the 40, it could be more, whatever. It could be a little less. But 10 of those games out of the season, I'm actually going to be starting. I'm going to boost up my confidence. I'm going to get out there. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to face adversity. I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do so that now I'm getting into the rhythm of things, and that's what it is. And then when it's time at the end of the season, I can sit up and say, you know what? I got some burn. I improved a little bit. But you know what? I'm gonna stay one more year because I think I can improve even better. Yeah. And now I know exactly what I have to do and what I need to do. Yeah, see, I'd be interested. I like that, but I'd be interested in what like Rayshawn and Dino tell you because, like, I don't know. I've never played college basketball, so I don't know what it's like to sit in that chair. So to me, all those guys are different. Some of them are going to react differently to starting versus not starting. I think the one thing you did say, I think it goes through all of this, is confidence. Like, you got to have confidence, right? You cannot play basketball lacking confidence. That's just across the board, right? And I think it's two things, man. I think you got to have confidence in yourself, right? You got to have confidence in your own abilities, but you also got to have confidence in the dudes around you, right? You got to know that I can be as confident in myself and my game as I want to, but if I don't know that this dude has got it, or if he was just hanging his head, or if he's not confident and I can feel it, that changes the way I'm going to play. I'm probably not going to give him the ball if I got a chance. I might take it 2-on-1 instead of 1-on-2 instead of trying to get this guy involved. So to me, whatever it takes to boost the confidence of the guys, and boost confidence in themselves as a team is the way to do it. I do think it's not like there's not like when Huber's first couple of years where you did have the 5 dudes, the Iron 5, and those were the guys, and there was a big drop off, right, between the other guys. Right. RJ, if he plays the way he's capable of playing, obviously returning an ACC Player of the Year, he's good. He's not playing well right now. So, and Elliott looks great at the beginning of the year. He's not playing right now. Seth has probably been most consistent, but it's not like any of those guys are way head and shoulders above every day Ian, Drake, a lot of these other guys. So I think you gotta mix it up. You gotta see what combinations are going to work. And maybe that is maybe the way to do it is give everybody and tell them, say, hey, listen, we're going to start you when this situation arises, so they can get in their head. Okay, I know what's going to happen, because maybe it's hard. And again, I'd love to hear what Rayshawn and Dino say. Like, how is it hard to sit there? Is it harder to just be, unsure of when your moment is going to be, called upon, or is it better to be able to say, like, okay, I know I'm probably not going to play a lot in this game. Maybe I have to go in if somebody gets in foul trouble, but I know this game is on the schedule and I'm going to be in there and he's going to count on me. Is it easier to get your confidence and get prepared for that? I don't know, because clearly that's a lot of the things they lack right now, is that confidence. So I'm on board with anything that gets him going in that direction again.
I just think that's the best direction to go.
Yeah.
And speaking to the both of them, it's harder when you're sitting on the bench and your number gets called.
Okay.
It's a lot harder because there may be some games your number don't even get called.
Right. Yeah.
But you might be working your tail off in practice or whatever, trying to get that spot to where your number does get called, and then your number don't get called. So it's a lot tougher. I do think that the Jay Wash is not the 5 that we thought that he was going to be. I never thought that he was a 5. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely
I never thought he was a 5 though. Yeah, he's a stretch 4. Stretch 4 for sure.
I agree.
And you don't have the one person that I would put in there, which he's not getting played like that. There's 2 people. I would put Ty Claude in there.
Mm-hmm.
He's experienced. He led he was 10th in the nation in the offensive rebounds last year.
Yep.
He was first in the ACC in offensive rebounds over Mondo and over Harrison in the ACC last year. He was number 1. But I think you got to play James Brown.
I
think
totally
James
with
Brown
you, man.
should be I think he needs to be in the middle. I mean, he has some grit, he has some edge, he has some fire to him. And right now, that's what this team needs. Like, it's too much wine and cheese, as they used to call us. Like, this team needs grit right now.
Yeah.
And he's one of the ones that's giving it to everybody or whatever. So I think you have to play him. I think Zayden High, his situation, I think that hurt Carolina because he was another big.
Yeah. And he's more of a 4, but he was tough, right? He was gritty, get in there, scrap for some rebounds and stuff, and they are missing that a little bit. I think Ty Claude is an interesting one, right? I mean, I think he didn't. Obviously, he would have played. I think against Georgia Tech if he had been healthy. But like, I'd be interested to see what happens if he starts to get some consistent time because he's tough, man. He's like you said, he's gritty, he's tough. He doesn't mind getting in there, scrapping a little bit. And I don't think you need much. Like, you got to have something from those guys, but we're not going to get Mondo. Mondo's not going to appear on the desk on the bench somewhere. But we just got to get a little something because it's making everything else worse, right? If there is nothing that you're getting from the front court, all our guards and wings, man, are getting that much more pressure. They feel pressure themselves. They got to score. They got to do it all themselves. The defense knows that. The defense is like, well, I don't care about this guy down here. I'm going to go double team RJ. I'm going to press him to the sidelines on every screen. So it compounds on itself, man, when you don't get anything at all. So we just need just a little bit, I think, would make a big difference. But I'm interested to see, man, like the Sasau game coming up. They need a get right game, They need a get right game. And so if they can get right in that game, get a little confidence, it was Florida and UCLA, then maybe you get the ball rolling a little bit. And the ACC is not a bunch of world beaters, right? So maybe you get the ball rolling a little bit and you'll get the season turned around.
But Coach Davis has to take the chance on his bench players.
Yeah,
because if he don't, by the end of the season, come March, Elliot, RJ, Seth, Ian, for that matter, they're all going to be burnt out. They're all going to be tired.
100%.
And you need more production from your front court. And right now, like the game against Georgia Tech, I did not understand it. I don't understand why you start Lubin, but then you take him out 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And you bring in Jay Wash. I do not understand that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like you wonder too, like we were talking about earlier, different kids are handled in different ways. And you got to know as a coach, like you got to put the best players on the floor regardless, right? but some guys don't come off the bench very well. Some guys don't start very well. So it's hard, man. I don't know. I was a little surprised at that too. Like if you're gonna run VAL out there, let him have burn, let him get up a sweat, and let him do his thing, and then see what happens. But thing is, I feel like they've tried a lot of combinations and nothing has really worked all that well. So I don't know. You don't have anything to lose by throwing Greg Brown out there, right? Throw him out there. Let him get scrap and fight a little bit and see if he can give you something. But I don't know, man. I think still to me, this team is going to go as Elliot Cadeau goes. I just think you look at the times when we've played really well, he's been the guy that's played really well. I mean, he's gotten into foul trouble early and he's off his game. It doesn't go as well for us. So, but now I'll tell you this though, man, like I'm a sucker for like point guards. I love a point guard. Like I'm like Kendall Marshall, Ed Cota, all those guys, Joel Berry. I love a point guard. So when Carolina has a good point guard, they're different. And I see the talent that Elliott has. And I just think if he can get there, I'll go on a little tangent here for you, Zell. Like, I think the challenge is he came in last year, wasn't expected to do a lot. He obviously played pretty well, but he was young. He was a young dude. I think they're starting to get a little scout on him now, right? So I think there's a scout out on him. If you bother him a little bit, you can get in his head, and he's letting that happen, and people are keeping after him. And as a college basketball player, if you go through a couple years, that's what you have to learn to get past whatever they're scouting you on, right? Every year there gets more and more tape on you, and they look, and people are watching it every minute that you play, and they're like, all right, what got him off his game? What can he not do? And you got to make sure you understand that as a high-level college basketball player, and you got to work on your game, and you got to be ready for that, and you got to be able to have that counter move, man. So I just think he's the guy for me. He's the guy that's going to make this team go or not. And if you got all those other pieces, front court's important, but like, if he's playing well, I think everything else is going to fall into place. That's the way I've seen it so far.
The only thing that I got to say for when it comes to Elliott is the fact that last year when Elliott was driving to the basket, you had a big man down there named Armando Bacot.
That's true.
You do not have that this year. So it's tougher for you to drive to the basket. That's the reason why a lot of these opposing teams, they know the runs and the set plays that we're making.
Yeah,
that's the reason why we're getting beat. But the problem is also the guys in the front court are not rebounding either.
Right.
And they're crowding up the paint, which is why these players and these teams, the opposers, they know what plays we're running. So if that's the case, and Elliott decides to drive to the basket and the paint is all clogged up and everything, then who's to blame for that? It's only, but Armando could draw a double team easily, which would open up things for them to be able to penetrate to the basket and things like that. So I that's the only thing that I have about it. I mean, the front court issue is just an issue that we are gonna have to deal with, and right now, whatever it is that Coach Davis has been doing, you got to start changing it up and seeing the things that you might need to start doing. Like, I agree. Try it. What is the worst thing that's gonna happen?
Can't get worse.
Like, as bad as I hate to say it, but if you got to try a lineup without RJ in it, as far as starting, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's crazy to think about, but at this point, I mean, he's not shooting the ball well, and maybe he needs a little, shake up. I don't know, man. I still think, like I said before, long season, man, and a lot can go right. This is a tough stretch. They got some flaws on this team, but I still think there's enough talent there to make, if they can figure out how to make all the pieces fit and get a little bit from the front court, I think we're gonna be okay. I think it'll be an okay year, but he's got to have some things come together.
Yeah, we got to figure some things out. So, but I mean, hey, we'll see because
well,
there's a team down the road. They don't look the best, but they look a lot better than the Hills right now. We'll say that.
They do.
And,
they do.
mean, speaking of that team, which kind of brings us into the big topic of one of the big reasons why we are here. One of the big reasons for sure. Duke sucks, and Duke still sucks.
Yes,
and
sir.
I got to hear how all of this came about, and you know, you can mention the 30-30 story, the 30-30, the Christian Laettner 30 for 30, not 30-30. 30 for 30. It's a tongue
Whatever
twister,
it
man.
is, I got you.
Yeah. Just have at it, my guy.
I mean, you know, I think the funny thing is, and I mean, I talked a little bit about writing the book. It's crazy to me when we wrote this book. I thought if we sell 500 of these things to every single person that we personally know, that would be a wild success. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was a little surprised at how quickly it blew up, and how many people. And it's not just Carolina fans, right? I mean, I get so much from Kentucky fans, from Michigan fans, UConn. I mean, all these other teams, they hate Duke too. So it was kind of crazy how much the book blew up because so many people hate Duke. And the thing is, and the 30 for 30 was a wild experience. It's still something that is really interesting because that thing doesn't die, right? It's on Netflix and stuff. So I have like people come up to me and say, yeah, I was like flipping through and see you on Netflix. It's kind of crazy. So I'll tell you, something crazy happened to me like probably about 2 months ago. I'm on like TikTok, man. I'm just like burning time on TikTok. I come up on my own TikTok feed. Someone had taken the 30 for 30 and like chopped it up into little like bits. And I'm just like flipping along, seeing a freaking cat video or something. And here's my ugly mug popping up. It was weird, man. It was weird. So that experience was crazy. It continues to be crazy. But the thing that's also nuts about writing the second book is it's always something, man. It's always something with these guys. They're always giving us material, not just us, but like the college basketball world at large, as to why they're so hateable. I mean, Zell, like Cooper Flagg, dude, that man was like built in a lab to play basketball at Duke University. I mean, are you kidding me? Like big old tall, goofy white dude, pretty obnoxious. You talk about an arrogant dude. He's good. Don't get me wrong. But like, my man, he was like stamped out of a mold and said, here's a Duke basketball player. So it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to me. And I'll tell you, like Cooper Flagg was the guy that I had my eyes on this year. But I watched, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Con Knuppel or whatever his name is, the kid from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He's the same mold. Like, he might be more hateable than Cooper Flagg is. But that's the crazy thing is it's always been there. And yet you think like as the years go on and college basketball changes and they change coaches and the players come and go, but it's still something about that place that attracts a certain type of dude and attracts a fan base that is just so hateable. And it's just crazy how it keeps happening and it keeps happening and it keeps happening. I mean, did you think it was going to change after Kay left? And do you see this team and think, God, these guys are just typical Duke players? Or is it just me? Is it just me that I see this? Obviously, I got a very specific lens here. I've got my eye on it. But like, do you think everybody else sees this the same way? Are they just as hateable as they always are?
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think that I mean, there's like you said, there's Kentucky, there's Michigan, there's a lot of other fans that hate Duke. Period. I mean, they just hate Duke. Like, Duke has that aura about them. I think some of the players on the team is overrated. I mean, this is one of those make or break type seasons for Coach Shire. I think he has no choice, and the pressure is on him, but he has no choice but to have a successful season. Honestly, it's like national championship or bust. Or it's a failure. Season is a failure. I mean, you brought in all of these high-level recruits. You went in the portal, got so many people, which I don't understand why you did that. So it's like this is gonna be that season that's gonna determine John Shire. Like, if he better hope that it's successful. If it isn't, then I don't know what's gonna happen or whatever the case may be. But Duke, it will always be hated forever in my eyes. I just, like I said, some of the players on the team are completely overrated to me. I think Cooper Flag has a little bit too much hype around him. And he hasn't really produced like he should. Yeah, he's had some big games. He scored some big points because I already know how the people is going to try and come at me and all of that stuff. Yes, he's had some big games. He shot 20, had 27 points, whatever the case may be. But his production, to me, has not been what it should be especially when it's built around the hype that he has.
And that's the thing. He was the second coming, man. He was he was the man. He was like one step below LeBron, the way they were hyping him up in the offseason. So I get you, man. Like and some of that, to be fair, not his fault, but he leans into it. Like that he's clearly reveling in the attention, reveling in it. So I think he's a little overrated. I mean, but the thing is, like, they didn't do anything. They had Zion, RJ Barrett, former Nick RJ Barrett, and who was it? Cam Reddish on the same team. And they didn't even make it to the final.
Cam Reddish. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is not a movie we haven't seen before, right? They get all these guys, but I'm with you too, man. Like if Shire doesn't get it done this year, that seat's going to get hot, man. That seat is going to get real hot, and then it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting in Durham because that fan base, they're not going to hang around and see if it works out. They're used to K, and it's going to get interesting if this season doesn't go well for them.
And I've been on a Duke podcast. Like I said, I got some friends. Some cool, really cool guys or whatever, and I've been on their podcast. As a matter of fact, I was on there last week, but and I mean they've made these comments that it's championship year or bust, and if it's a bust, then it's a failure. And yes, they have all of these players, and yes, they have so many different options and players they can go with, but the thing is, how did you utilize that talent that you had?
That's right.
And if they do not go too far or whatever, then they're gonna question Shire and his ability to coach, basically. So
I'm gonna ask you one more thing here now. So I have this theory that, if Shire came out of it and was like gangbusters, he'd keep getting these recruits. But I still feel like they're living off of the shine of Coach K. And so he's been gone since this is Shire's third year. Is that right? Yeah. 2021, 22. Yes. Yeah. So the guys that are seniors in high school now, they were freshmen in high school, when Coach K was still around. And then you go back to
Right.
2 more years behind that, there were like 6th graders. They were probably they're good basketball players. It's like 6th graders. They're probably starting, or 7th graders. They're starting to pay attention to the world around them. They've got that locked in. Duke is Coach K and everything that was. But a kid who is in 6th, 7th grade now, he didn't know anything about Coach K. That was 3 years ago. He was in elementary school, right? So the shine is going to start coming off of Duke with these recruits in the next 2 years, because the kids were too young at the time they were impressionable to know who Coach K was, right? So all they're going to know is
Right.
Shire, and Cooper Flagg went there and he was hyped, but he didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. And I don't know about this. It's a guy named Shire. So there's no real short window here, Zell, where if Shire doesn't keep that Duke magic going, they could fall off a cliff really fast. Your Duke fans are not going to want to hear that, but that shine is going to come off after that. And these kids are not going to be impressionable, because they're going to grow up. Honestly, man, they're probably going to grow up watching Nate Oates at Alabama. And that's who they're going to identify with. And I don't want to say that, but Coach K's not there anymore. He's not coming back.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Coach K is not coming back. Like, we sent him on his merry way. Bye. Like,
Bye-bye.
You got to go. But he is involved still with the team and all of that and stuff or whatever. And I do give. Yeah, Duke sucks, and they will always still suck. But I give them props in certain things. They got a GM, which is huge when it comes to this whole NIL and transfer portal stuff and everything. Like, you need a GM, and I think Carolina needs a GM. So, but as far as with Duke is trash to me. I'm just sorry. They really are, and I know a lot of people is going. Yeah, I know a lot of people's going to try and come at my neck or whatever. But Duke is. I'm not going to call them trash. They're not good to me.
Yeah,
they haven't. You've on the. They've scored in the 70s like 5 times out of this year in however many games that they've played, but. It's just not the hype around the players is just not adding up to the outcome of of what has happened. Yeah, and I just think that Duke is going to have a problem with that going in the future, like big games, things like that. They're going to have a problem with that. So
I agree, man. I'm with you. They got it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be fun to watch the 2 games when we hit them up this year. So it's going to be fun.
Man, listen, I don't know how excited I am, Andy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how excited I am about these 2 games. Well, like, as bad as I hate to say this. This could be the year they go 2-0 on us, just like we did with them last year.
It could be. And I'll tell you, man, but here's the thing. Here's the great thing about this rivalry. You never know. And as much as I hate losing to them, right? I hate losing to them.
Yeah.
But there's so many times over the years, Hansbrough going into Cameron on JJ and Sheldon's senior night. Nobody gave Carolina a chance. Nobody gave Carolina. You remember the year that we ended Coach K? You remember that first game at the Dean Dome? They boat raced us, man, like up and down the floor, just skull drug us. And I was like, this is my worst freaking nightmare. They're unbelievable. They got Paolo. They're killing us. We're struggling. It's Coach K's, final year. Well, we all know what happened after that. So every time I think I've got this thing figured out, I mean, honestly, I was a little surprised we beat him when we did last year. So you just never know. And to me, that's the cool thing about the rivalry. And in the last, in the sequel that we wrote, I did a whole, analysis of the different games and the rivalry up and down and how even it is, but it does go in runs, right? So you will have runs where one team will, get on the other one for a little bit, but there's always something that comes back no matter what. I mean, we were talking about him earlier and losing out on AJ Dybantsa. When we got Harrison Barnes, Carolina, you think about that time, dude. We had just won the national championship, 2009. Got Harrison Barnes the next year. Duke was bad, and they wanted Harrison Barnes. People like wrote them off like that was the end of it. We beat Duke for a recruit. Carolina just won the second national championship in 5 years or whatever it was, and we had written them off. They go on to rip off 2 national championships before we get back. So I mean, you just never know. If, as much as you think this team is really, really good at Duke and we're struggling, it's the rivalry brings out the best, and that's what makes it so great. And that's why it's always, to me, it's always going to be something that people are going to tune into, and that you and I are going to be talking about for years from now, man. It's just what it is. It's special. It's special.
It's special. That's how you took the word right out of my mouth. It's special. It is special. And like you said, no matter who's good, who's bad, it always lives up. Jay Billis said it. It always lives up to the hype or whatever it is that you want. It
always delivers.
It always delivers. Always delivers. So
every time.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. So we'll see though. We'll see what happens or whatever. Listen, Andy, where can everybody find your books?
Yeah, anywhere books are sold. Most people get them off of Amazon, but anywhere that you can buy a book, you can buy both the books. And you can find me. I'm on social too. NC Bags on Twitter. Big news, man. I'm on Cameo now. I just recently got on Cameo, so people can hit me up and do a video. I've actually been doing these for a while, but before I got on Cameo, so Christmas stuff. People love. I love doing like graduation videos for people. Like if you've got a kid that's graduating, you're going to Carolina the next year or graduating from Carolina, do a little something. I've had videos that I've done for people that they want me to roast their Duke friends. So hit me up. Let me tell me about their Duke friends, and I'll roast them. So that's a lot of fun. So I'm NC Bags on Cameo, but yeah, man, I love interacting with people. Love seeing, meeting people out at these games that I interact with on online. It's fun. But yeah, anywhere you can find the books, you can get the books, and it's fun, man. And like I said before, who knows? 5-6 years from now, they keep giving us material. It's going to be time for the 3rd installment.
Yeah, that 3rd one is coming. That 3rd one is coming. I feel it. I feel it. I know it's coming.
Yeah,
I'm not. As a matter of fact, I'm not even worried about it. So, but listen, all of your information and stuff is gonna be in the description for everybody that don't know about the books. It's Duke Sucks. Duke Still Sucks. Right. I'm just now hearing about Cameo, so I'm gonna have to check that out myself, see what's going on with it. I might even join and get on there myself or whatever. Like I'm not big on the whole social media like that. Like Twitter and Instagram is enough. I'm gonna be honest with you. On top of the YouTube, having the YouTube channel, so it's I got to check into it, but yeah. I got to get a copy of the books though, for sure. We definitely got to make that happen.
We will make that happen, man. We'll make that happen. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we could have talked for hours tonight. So there's got to be a part 2 that we're gonna do for this. Let's do it.
I feel like the fans is gonna be like, yo, we probably need a part 2 for this. Like, because
I'm down, man. You hit me up. You hit me up anytime, man. You know where to find me.
I love it when, like I said, this was just off the top of the head, and there's just so much more that we could just talk about, because I could dig into some NIL stuff a little bit deeper. I could probably go a little bit deeper on the teams. It's so much more that I could definitely go and dig a little bit deeper with. But we gonna set things up and and do a part 2 for sure. As a matter of fact, might even try and get Jonathan on.
Let's do it.
And we all 3 of us really get to talking and things like that. So but we gonna figure some things out for sure. So I but of course I appreciate you stopping by and chopping it up with me here in the Zell Dome. This is just what we do over here, whatever. There's an open invitation always.
Awesome.
If you
Awesome.
never hesitate to reach out, hit me up like, yo, let's make something happen. I'm always down. I love doing this or whatever. So but we're gonna make that part 2 happen for sure.
Absolutely.
We gotta make that happen for sure. So
well, anytime, man.
But yeah, what did you
I was just gonna say,
I was gonna ask you what your social was.
Yeah, NC Bags on Twitter, NC Bags on Cameo, and then Duke Still Sucks on Instagram. So I'll send all this to you so you can put it in the show notes. But I just want to say, man, I'm so impressed with your podcast, man. Like the guests you're pulling, I feel honored to be here amongst some of the guys that you have pulled, man. Like, so I feel a big honor. So I hope that a ton of people see this. Get your show, man, because you're doing a hell of a job. You're doing some great work. So keep it up, man. And I'll be along for the ride, and I'll be glad to come back anytime you want me on, man.
Listen, I appreciate that, my guy. I really do, man. You don't know how that makes me feel, man. It's as I tell everybody, it's an honor to be in this position. Like, I'm just growing up as a big fan. When I first got started, never knew and how I wanted to do things, because I see some of the other UNC podcasts, they may go daily, some of them might go 3 times a week, some are recapping, doing pre and post game shows, things like that. So wasn't really sure how I wanted to go about and what route I actually wanted to take, and ended up doing. I gotta give Isaac Shade his credit, and I probably gotta give him his flowers from Locked On Tar Heels, because without Isaac, probably none of this probably would have happened. Not saying that he helped start this, but as far as guests,
awesome.
I had when I brought Isaac on, Isaac got me in touch with Coach Rob. And Pat Kilby, and ended up doing the show with Coach Rob. Coach Rob put me in touch with, loving the show and everything, put me in touch with Dino and Jackson, Simmons and Pete Chilcutt. So ended up interviewing them. Rayshawn Terry, he saw the interview with David, hit me up like, yo, I want to be a part of that. I got to have some of that. Like, awesome. Whatever. That's how that happened. And it's just been a domino effect. Just
good, man.
Just reaching out to everybody. I never thought that I'd be up here talking to, Andy Bagwell, Sherelle McMillan, Adam Lucas, Isaac Shade, Coach Rob, like, then the list just goes on and on. I know I've forgotten Aaron Torres. Like, I had Aaron on the show, which was huge. Like,
that's big.
Wait a minute, Aaron Torres. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm just honored to just be in this position, man, to be able to do this, and especially for somebody that's been doing this now since July. And have came this far. Just I'm just like I said, I'm honored to be here, man. I'm honored to be able to have everybody on, and we talk UNC basketball, just talking sports in general, period, sometimes. And yeah, it's go Hills. So I truly appreciate it, man. Like,
Thank you.
all of the support and everything. And like I said, we're gonna definitely do a part 2. And yeah, we're gonna make some things happen, bro. We're gonna make some things happen. And for sure, for you, keep doing what you're doing too. And if you need anything, bro, like, absolutely, just hit me up for sure.
I appreciate it, man. I'll do
For
that.
sure.
I'll do that. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Absolutely. That is Andy Bagwell, ladies and for sure. So Andy, I don't know if you know, but when you hear this sound right there, right? I don't know if you know what that means. So that
it.
just
Somebody's at
means
the
that
door.
somebody's at the door. Somebody's at the door. I'm curious to know who it is. You know,
Let's see.
sometimes I don't even know who wants to pop up at the door. Like, you know what I'm saying? And want to stop through and chop it up with me or whatever. So, but that's cool. It is what it is. We're gonna figure out and see who that is and everything. But once again, man, I totally appreciate you, man. It was an honor to be able to chop it up with you. And like I said, listen, we might have to do this on the regular, man. I might have to get you on like a once a week type thing where we can chop it up, man, and get some things happening for sure. Like, you know, but we'll talk behind the scenes on some things as soon as I can figure some things out. I'm gonna figure some things out because it's time to take things to that next level for sure. So, but once again, I appreciate everybody for watching, everybody for tuning in. Got to appreciate Andy for stopping through. And until the next time, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel and go Heel.